Okay, now it's the test between my new MacBook Pro, which is running on the M2 Max, maxed out version. So that means 96 gigabytes of unified memory. This is the MacBook Pro 16-inch, and it's 4 terabytes. It's not 8 terabytes. So I'm a little bit of a brokey, but everyone's saying that the value is not there to go from 4 terabytes to 8 terabytes. So whatever. And then we have our old MacBook right here. This is MacBook Pro 2015 edition, 15.6-inch screen, 16 gigabytes RAM. We're going to go that when we do the test right now. But right now we're going to do the Speedometer 2.0 test. These are the only programs I have running at the moment. I chose to do this in Safari because I hear that Safari is more optimized for Mac than Google. I don't think that will affect the speed, but let's go test these out. I just want to know the difference between the two. I don't know if this is exactly what's supposed to be happening, but let's see. This one has the new Wi-Fi 6E capability. This was created before Wi-Fi 6 was even a thing, before it was thought about. So this finished before 425. I don't know if that's good. Runs per minute. I'm having them connected to power. This is on max power mode because they say you don't need to have these. Well, at least with Apple Silicon, you don't have to have this connected with power. As far as this one. Oh, and they're running different operating systems because this one's so old it can't run the new Ventura. So this did 130. So terrible. 4 times 3. That's gonna be 520. I'm gonna say 4 times as fast, but whenever we get to the mechanics, I'm just gonna go about this Mac. You probably can't see it, but it's running Monterey. So it's old. I don't know if there was like 2 systems before, but you can see that obviously the new one's going to do much better. And then this will give you details. I'm just going to have this so it can be on the screen. And now we're going to move to our next test since we don't need that anymore. So our next test will be on Cinebench. So we're going to use this, open Cinebench on here, and then we're going to open up Cinebench on here. I already know which one's going to win. Open, because I downloaded this from the internet. But I like the idea, and then we're going to have to accept this. So we have the multi-core test and the single-core test. We're going to first start with the single core test. Start. Did it start? Takes even longer to start. The old one is running off Intel processor, Intel Core. I think it's only 2.4 something gigahertz. The one on the left is the processor. It's the M2 Max processor, 12 cores, single core at 3.7 gigahertz, multi-core at 3.3 gigahertz, which is the estimate for here. And this one is running at 4 cores, so it has 1/3 the number of cores, 8 threads at 2.2 gigahertz, lower clock speed, single port at 3.4 gigahertz, multi-core at 2.9 gigahertz. I think the parentheses might be I don't know where the 3.4 is coming from. I don't know. We'll see. But it's much further behind. And I'm running the test. I guess I could skip this part in the full video. which I will most likely, because I see no other people skipping, and then it kind of confusing because I'm talking as well. I'll probably leave this because people might drop off too, but I kind of like talking over and just my thought process, but we'll probably let you decide if you want a skipped up version, but I'll skip it definitely, and just because I want to see how it does properly. So right now we're just going to. Okay, if you hear that fans, that's the one on the right. It always turns on the fans. Also, I didn't think it was going to take that long, but now I understand some of the things that reviewers have to deal with. So that's why I skipped it. I'll tell you the scores. Also, this will be in the description. The single core for this one, because I did the single and multi-core because they take a while. This MacBook has a single core of 1,629, which was on the top of the list. And I think the single core list was only MacBooks, older MacBooks too, with Intel processors. And multi-core 14,800. I don't like that it's not on the top of the list. Threadripper, I'm not going to say which Threadripper it is. I think this is a third generation, 29 something, and this one's the Threadripper 1950X. But I think that's because it's not optimized. This one's just terrible. 733 for the single core, so basically more than double the speed on the new M2 Max should be after 8 years, 7-8 years, you know. And multi-core 3,625, so basically about 4 times the multi-core performance on this one. Good to know. And I think that this is not optimized for the Apple Silicon, so that's good to know. Let's go to the Blackmagic speed test because I want to check the speed. They're both solid state drive, but this is a 4 terabyte, so there shouldn't be any slowdown. This is 256 gigabytes, so, and it's a 7-year-old SSD. We already know which one's gonna win, but let's see. Of course, this one on the left finished it super fast. Let me get a little bit closer so I can. Okay, I just realized that after it took so long that I could just pause. Well, it finishes the first revolution. It just keeps on going over. Maybe because this is my first time. I didn't know it. So, start off. Ooh, oh, okay. So this is gaming. I can do. You've seen me play Civilization 6 and how it's wonky, but Divinity Original Sin 2 can be played on this, my old computer, without any problems. I think it's on the lowest graphical settings, but that's good. That means Divinity Original Sin 2 is probably optimized. It's not like Path of Exile when the graphics are just grainy and stuff like that. It's really actually good. So these are going to do its test. So I will catch up with y'all after these tests. Okay, basically we finished that. And I will show it on the screen. But basically, a new MacBook on the highest tier got about 120 frames per second for the game that they showed. And this MacBook got 9 frames per second. Of course, it did higher in some other tests, lower tier tests, but on the higher tier, 120 versus 9 frames per second. So we understand what happened. Anyway, now we're on the final test, which is Geekbench 5. This is a trial. So we're going to do a CPU test, CPU benchmark. It pretty much tells us what we're working with. We have the M2 Max at 3.67 gigahertz processor, 96 gigabyte memory versus the MacBook Intel Core i7 4070-70HQ at 2.2 gigahertz, 16 gigabytes of DDR3 memory. So Intel versus Apple Silicon on Intel. Oh, let's run the benchmark, see what we can. Okay, these are the scores for the CPU test. So basically, more than double, just like last time, more than double on the single core, and about more than four times the Geekbench on multi-core score. So we can exit out of these, exit out of this, exit out of that, and we can go to compute benchmark, measure performance of GPUs. So this is going to give us the GPUs, compute API, OpenCL on this one. I don't want OpenCL, we already did that. Let's go on Metal. And we're going to do both of them on Metal. Bro, really? 83,732 for the Geekbench score, but that's not what I'm surprised at. 517. No, I'm not going to run multiple tests, but it's a little like, obviously we know that the integrated graphics on this side, because this is unified all in one processor. This one's just Intel Iris Pro integrated graphics. But those are all tests. Thank you for watching. Actually, we're going to go into the next video, but we understand that we have upgraded. I think it's just the position and the quality and the lighting that's not as good. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'm so glad. I like the results. Big upgrade. Now I can go on to downloading the games and the streaming software and pretty much just finish setting up. Thank you for watching. We have a lot of good content coming for you.